wake up in the morning and just want to roll over, go back to sleep. It's just so hard to start the day because the energy just isn't there. And then constantly throughout the day, you're looking for energy boosters because the energy's just not there. Well, if this is you, this episode of Me and My Health Up is for you. And I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher. I'm a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. The purpose of this podcast is to enhance and enlighten your well-being. And today I'll be doing that for you on energy boosters and how to optimize your vitality to roar through the day, to get through your day in a fulfilling way. So I'm going to cover this in terms of a scientific principle, and it also relates to weight management. So it is in equals out plus accumulation is the equation. So picture in equals out plus accumulation. And that's how I'm going to format today's episode on energy boosters and how to maximize your vitality. So how does it relate to weight management? Well, energy in equals energy out plus accumulation. So if you've got more energy coming in and less going out, then accumulation is going to increase. So you'll put on more weight. And I'm going to apply this to energy and how it relates to how you can maximize your vitality. So in equals out plus accumulation. So let's start with how you can increase the energy coming in. And there's the obvious one around food, but it's really important that you get the food right, because if the food isn't right, then you're going to have these energy bursts and then energy slumps because of blood sugar dysregulation. But before I get into food, because what's more important than food is getting your light diet right, which is your sunlight, your natural exposure to sunlight. So this is the key for energy. It guides us, it directs us, and it really helps us with our energy optimization. So we need natural sunlight in order to run our energy systems. Our energy systems are reliant on sunlight. So the less sunlight you're getting, or the more time you're spending indoors, is problematic. Your energy will fade. So we need red light to rev our engines, so to speak. So red light is the morning sunlight, which is around with sunrise, and also there for sunset. That's when we're going to have high amounts of red light. So that's really important to rev your engines. Now, in terms of what maintains your energy during the day is infrared light. Infrared light keeps our batteries running well. So that's going to hold yourself together in terms of keeping the energy within you, because at the end of the day, we don't want energy leaving us. We want energy coming in, and we want to accumulate the energy to maximize, optimize our vitality. If we've got more going out, which I'll get to later in terms of what strips you from energy, then that's when you're going to feel depleted. So really important to hold your electrical charge by maximizing your exposure to outdoor, and particularly outdoors in green spaces, because green spaces reflect infrared light. So the more time you're in green spaces, the more exposure you have to infrared light. So my practical tip here is get up, see the sunrise, watch the sunrise, and then maximize your time outdoors, particularly in green spaces throughout the day, in order to hold your energy. And then in the evening, watch sunset. That will help you get a good night's sleep, which will help you keep your energy and allow your systems to run optimally. So that's the number one tip, is more outdoor time, less indoor time. Now, in terms of when we're indoors, we want to minimize our exposure to LED or the artificial lights, because artificial lights are rich in blue, and this includes your screen. So this is your computer screens, this is your phone. So we want to regulate that or keep that to a point where we aren't doing too much screen time. We're minimizing our screen time. So how can you minimize your screen time, particularly in the evening? Now, even throughout the day, the blue light from our screens, which is narrow band, it doesn't come with any other spectrum of light, whereas outdoor light comes with full spectrum. So it comes with red, infrared, and blue, whereas our one coming from the screen is mainly blue. And what happens is that will sequester or minimize the amount of energy output. It turns down our engine. So when we're outside, we've got the red and infrared that really helps maintain our charge and keeping our engines revving. But we're able to regulate that through the blue light when we're outdoors, and so that we don't burn out, we don't overheat, or we don't essentially just blow up. That's what it does. It helps us regulate when we're exposed to full spectrum sunlight. However, when we're indoors under narrowband light, LED lights or artificial lighting, what happens is it just turns down our engine. And so this is why you feel so depleted during the day, and you're reaching for those quick fixes, those quick pick-me-ups, which is sugar, right? So that quick pick-me-up sugar, you're having biscuits and sweets throughout the day in order to keep your energy up. Or in the evening, some people consume a lot of sweets in the evening because they're feeling really depleted and tired, which is normal, right? In the evening, you want to be feeling depleted and tired. And so it's important to change up your nightly routine to minimize exposure to artificial lights, and during the day is to minimize your exposure to artificial lighting the best you can. So here I'm recording this episode in front of a window which is open, and I'm getting natural light in, and I've got no artificial lights beaming down on me. However, I do have the screen light from the computer. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to record this for you. So again, I'm looking at ways to minimize my exposure. And so during the day, when I can, I'll take phone calls outside. I will do some posting outside, like posting on social media. I listen to podcasts when I'm walking outside. And so I'm looking for more ways that I can spend more time outside to keep my energy optimal and to minimize my indoor time. So that's something you want to think about, and something I'm constantly challenging my clients about is how can they spend more time outdoors to keep their batteries charged. Now, if you're worried about getting too much excessive UV light, then go to green spaces, because the green space will provide shade from the too much harmful UV light. However, it will maximize the amount of red and infrared light. So it reflects the red and infrared light. And so you can maximize that absorption to keep your batteries running well. So maybe you can go and do some work in a park or do some study in a park. That would be fantastic in order to keep your energy well maintained and optimal vitality throughout the day. Now, the next one I've got here is in terms of food, right? So another energy source is food. So we get it through our food, and we consume calories, which you're well versed about. However, we want to consume the right type of food in order to maximize level energy throughout the day. When we're consuming carbohydrates, it gives us blood sugar spikes, and those blood sugar spikes will then create a crash. So what we want to do is input more energy, or more sustainable energy that's going to burn slower and last longer. And that's fats. So fats are a preferable energy source to keep you maintaining that steady energy, optimal vitality throughout the day. So consume more fats in your diet and minimize those carbohydrates, which will provide peaks and then troughs and crashes. And then you're looking for a pick-me-up. So really important that you do that. In terms of what else brings us energy and coming into us that we can get is hugs from others. So if someone else has got more vitality around you, give them a hug, because the energy will flow from a higher state to a lower state. So if you're feeling depleted, grab a hug from someone that looks very energetic, and that will give you more energy. Yes, we can extract energy from others through hugging. So do some more hugs. Now, the other one is making sure that you're working on high priority activities throughout the day. When we're working on low priority activities, we lose energy because it's not meaningful and purposeful for us. We maintain energy when we're working on tasks that have a lot of meaning to us, that are important to us. So making sure you're working on high value activities and that you're not people pleasing. So often people pleasing is something that's not important to you, but it's important to the other person. And if you do more of that, you're going to lose more energy. So in order to maintain energy, What you want to do is work on things that are high priority for you and important to you, and you will maintain that good energy throughout the day. Now, the next one I've got in terms of maximizing energy in is moderate activity. So moderate, no, so this is not doing too much exercise. Yes, by moving your body, you generate more electricity, and that's important. So movement breeds more energy. However, too much movement will deplete you. So it's finding the moderate amount of activity that will maintain your level of energy or optimal energy. So movement's really important for our detoxification systems, and we need our detoxification systems to be active and working to get the toxins out, because toxin accumulation will deplete our energy. So we certainly want to be doing that well. The other thing is that's really important to us is grounding. So grounding is another source of energy. Yes, we can get energy from the earth. So not only do we get energy from sunlight through photons, and we convert those photons to electric energy, and however, we need good amount of omega-3 in our diet. So that's the other one, which is a fat that we want, and it's an essential fatty acid, is we want to make sure we've got a diet that's high in omega-3s and lower in omega-6s. But we do need omega-6s. However, we don't want too much omega-6s. We want a diet that's like the ratios that I've been reading. So it's sort of like 2 omega-6s to 1 omega-3 is good, or 1 to 1. However, you don't want the ratio getting beyond that because once it starts getting like 4 omega-6s to every 1 omega-3s, then that's going to become more pro-inflammatory, and that inflammation encourages energy loss because we need to put out the fire. We need energy to put out the fire. So we don't want too much omega-3, omega-6s in our diet, pro-inflammatory. Those pro-inflammatory sources are seed oils, hence why seed oils have been really demonized. They're really high in omega-6s. So we want a moderate consumption of those fats, and we want to maximize our consumption or focus more on the omega-3s, which seafood is the best form of omega-3s. So eat more seafood in your diet so that you can convert the light energy into electric energy within our body. And we can do that provided we have enough omega-3. Now, on top of this, we want to be grounding. We want to have our feet on the earth and get the electrons from the earth through our sweat pores in our feet or our hands, so we can crawl on the grass or crawl on the sand. We want to do this, or crawl on the earth, Tough Mudder sort of stuff. We want to do more grounding in order to extract more energy from the earth, and we extract energy from sunlight, and we can extract energy from swimming in natural body waters such as rivers, lakes, and the ocean. So more ocean swimming, more lake swimming, you don't want to swim in chlorinated pools. That will strip you of energy, okay? And same with, you don't want to drink chlorinated water. That will strip you of water. Same with fluoride water will strip you of energy. It will take energy from you, take electrons from you. We want to maximize the electrons going in, which we can get from light, which we can get from the earth, which we can get from food. However, the more longer, saturated fatty foods and the polyunsaturated fat we want to focus on is omega-3s. That will maximize our electrons, maximize that electrical charge. And we want to have the infrared light to maintain that charge. So that maintains our battery. So we want to make sure we maximize our outdoor time in order to maintain that charge within us. We don't want to be losing energy. So what are the things that are going to strip us of energy, strip electrons from us? Well, our emotions. So when we have unregulated emotions, so when we maintain hatred towards someone, or frustration towards someone, or irritated about something, then that will facilitate energy from within you outwards. Okay. Same with anger. That will facilitate more energy outwards. And so you'll be losing energy from within. As you know, when you have a really emotional day, you feel depleted at the end of the day. So we want to regulate our emotions. There's many ways in which we can regulate our emotions. And this also incorporates our stress. We don't want to be overstressed. We want to make sure we manage our stress. And the stress that we want is good stress. And that should be stress that you like, the challenges you like. And that's by doing the things that you like. So what challenges me is coming up with episodes that are going to be helpful for you. So I'm constantly challenging myself. What would be a good episode that would really enhance and enlighten your well-being. So that's a challenge for me, but that's a eustress. That's a positive stress. Obviously, the negative stress for me would be me not doing what I love doing and doing things that I don't like doing, such as driving a car. So I don't drive cars, and I'm not a great cook. I'm a very basic cook. So I don't spend a lot of time cooking, but I do make sure I prepare foods that are highly energetic for me, such as I said before, high in fats, high in omega-3s, and low in carbohydrates. So emotions, we want to regulate them. How do we do that? Well, we can do it through mindfulness practices, so breathing exercises, meditation, mindful walking, getting out in nature can really help calm our nervous system, making sure we're balancing our perceptions, so we're not have lopsided perceptions. So lopsided perceptions will result in emotions, and those emotions will drain you of energy. So making sure you're balancing your perceptions of how you're seeing things. Ask yourself better questions so that you can balance your perceptions. If you need some help around emotional regulation, I can certainly help you. I'm running a fantastic webinar coming up, which I'd love you to be part of. And you can join that webinar and really learn some great techniques around emotional regulation. Please reach out to me and we'll forward you the link. Also wind. So when we're out in the elements and exposed to lots of wind, that wind will strip us of electrons. So we don't want to be out in windy conditions. We want to minimize our exposure to wind. That will strip you of energy. Over exercise is another one. So when you're doing too much exercise, excessive exercise. So this is like pushing yourself all the time, even when you're tired. So when you're training really tired and exhausted, physically exhausted, then that's not great in terms of energy. That will actually just deplete you even more. So it's making sure you listen to your body and do what's right for your body. So do not over exercise. It's not healthy for you. The other one is inflammation. We need to manage our inflammation, and that's including the inflammatory foods that we put in our bodies. And that's also including how we deal with stress is really important. And this gets back to spending more time outdoors in nature to really calm the nervous system, keep it well balanced. The other things, eat less inflammatory foods, excessive amounts of omega-6s, which I mentioned before, and ultra-processed foods, really inflammatory for us. And again, excessive amounts of carbohydrates, because it creates blood sugar dysregulation, and that in time chronically can create excessive inflammation and cause metabolic disorders. So we don't want to consume foods that high in processed seed oils. That's going to be really inflammatory. High in sugar, really inflammatory. So we want to moderate consumption of them, consume more saturated fats, more protein, and make sure we're eating our seafood. Really important. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, so that's good. So consuming more anti-inflammatory foods such as the omega-3s, and then moderate amount of fruit. You don't want to be consuming too much fruit, otherwise that results in too much blood sugar, too much spiking, and that's going to result in crashes. We also want to eat vegetables, but not too many starchy vegetables. More your greens and your less starchy vegetables. The starchy vegetables are going to create blood sugar spikes. Again, we don't want that. We want to maintain level energy, steady energy. We don't want the crashes. And the last point here in terms of loss of energy is doing low priority tasks, which I mentioned before. So not focusing on things that are important to you. If you do things that are not important to you, such as me getting in the car and driving, the only thing I'll drive to is important tasks. So if I'm doing a corporate event, I'll drive to the corporate event. That's not a problem. But if I'm driving to something that's not important, then I really struggle to find a way in which to link it to what's valuable to me. I might link it to, I could listen to an audible book. I could listen to audiobooks, or I could listen to podcasts that's educating me in the field I like. And that might take the stress away from driving, for example. But anyway, so making sure that you're doing high priority tasks and not low priority tasks. You want to delegate the low priority tasks, or just say no and someone else can do it. That's really important. Now, so I've mentioned what you want to maximize in terms of energy coming in, and I've also spoken about how you can potentially lose energy. The other one around loss of energy is hanging out with people that drain you. So these can be the energy zappers. So this is negativity, right? People that are constantly negative, that will drain you of energy as well. That's why they say hang out with people that are more positive or have a more optimistic outlook, because that will keep you energized. Obviously, hanging out with those that are extremely negative will deplete your energy. So minimizing your exposure to those people, particularly in this time of the festive season, if you can avoid those people. But the other way is to become more respectful of them, is dissolving the emotional charge around that person. And again, I can help you through that if you reach out, and I can have a one-on-one consultation with you that can really help you love and respect people as opposed to be emotionally charged about individuals. So I can certainly help with that in terms of minimizing that loss of energy outwards. And the last thing around accumulation. So accumulation, what's really important around accumulation is making sure we maintain our charge and maintain our energy, is sleep. We need sleep. So sleep, because what sleep does is allow us to do the repair work of our body. If we're not getting a good night's sleep, we don't do the repair work, and it can't optimally use the energy, right? So if we want optimal energy, our body needs to be in a good state, and the maintenance work needs to be done. So you want to be getting a good night's sleep on a regular basis in order to maximize your energy. And how we do that? Well, we want to minimize the amount of lighting or artificial lighting in the evening, and we want to be consistent to bed and have a consistent wake time. Really important. And we're really doing things that calm our mind in the evening, not excite it. So reflective journaling and things like that can be really helpful. Reading a book that sort of calms you as opposed to stimulates your mind, really important. So just doing things that calm the nervous system, breathing exercises, doing things that allow you to relax. That's really important. And minimizing the exposure to artificial lighting, really important too, so that we can start producing the melatonin when our retina sees darkness, and that will help provide that sedation effect and enable you to fall asleep. So I hope you really enjoyed this episode in terms of how to optimize your energy. And we did that through looking at the equation in equals out plus accumulation. I mentioned all the things that bring energy into you, and I could just run through a brief summary of that. So being outside, natural sunlight, it's grounding yourself, the magnetism, food, but eating food that's high in fat and low in carbohydrates, hugging someone that's more energetic than you, focusing on high priority activities, things that are important to you, not important to others, important to you, and moderate exercise, really important. Then in terms of the out, we want to minimize the amount of energy going out of us. And how we do that, we need to regulate our emotions, really important to regulate your emotions, do things that calm your nervous system, de-stress you, really important. Minimize your exposure to excessive wind. So windy days, find protection, but still be outside in a park. And you don't want to be doing over-exercise because that will strip you of energy. Also, inflammation. We want to minimize the amount of inflammation within our body. And so it's important that we do moderate exercise, move our body to maximize detoxification systems, and that we eat appropriately. We don't want to eat foods that are excessive inflammatory, such as seed oils and processed foods. And then we do not want to do low priority activities because that will drain our energy. And we want to hang out with people that bring us energy, that fuel us, as opposed to strip us of energy. So really important that you hang out with people that's supportive of you, although challenging you at times, making sure they're stretching you so that you're growing. That's really important. Is someone you want to have people that are supportive, but also challenge you to grow, because when we're growing, we're thriving, and that's going to also help with maximizing energy because we have a purpose, right? Really important. Purpose is really important. So that's why it's important to focus on important things to you, because that gives you purpose and meaning. And lastly, the accumulation side of things. How do we maintain energy within us? We need to do the repair work, and we do the repair work through resting and sleeping. Really important part of this whole equation to maximize energy. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I thoroughly enjoyed delivering it to you. If you want support in any of these areas in terms of how to maximize your energy, optimize your vitality, then please reach out to me. I would be happy to serve you. And also please share this with others that you believe that could benefit from this episode, that want to look at ways to find more energy and maintain more energy. This would be really helpful for them. So please share it with them. I'm all about getting this out to as many people as possible because my mission is to enhance and enlighten the well-being of others and to help them health up. So until next time, continue to health up.
Podcast disclaimer. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare or professional advice and are provided for general information purposes only. All care is taken in the preparation of the information in this podcast. Connected Wellness Proprietary Limited, operating under the brand me&my Health Up, does not make any representations or give any warranties about its accuracy, reliability, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it are not to be used as a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, psychiatric, or any other mental health care or healthcare in general. me&my Health Up recommends you seek the advice of a doctor or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Inform your doctor of any changes that you may to your lifestyle and discuss these with your doctor. Do not disregard medical advice or delay visiting a medical professional because of something you hear in this podcast. This podcast has been carefully prepared on the basis of current information. Changes in circumstances after publication may affect the accuracy of this information. To the maximum extent permitted by the law, me&my Health Up disclaims any such representations or warranties to the completeness, accuracy, merchantability, or fitness for purpose of this podcast and will not be liable for any expenses, losses, damages incurred, indirect or consequential damages or costs that may be incurred as a result of the information being inaccurate or incomplete in any way and for any reason. No part of this podcast can be reproduced, redistributed, published, copied, or duplicated in a form without prior permission of me&my Health Up.